Hello everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar. My name is Joanna and I will be your host for today's webinar. So should you have any questions or issues, please let me know in the question panel on the right of your screen. Here with us today is Pierrick Martel, Product Marketing Manager, and Etienne Gauthier and Laurent Pansivy, Product Managers. Should you have any questions during the webinar, please use the same panel to the right. We will collect those and answer them at the end. So now I'd like to pass the mic to Pierrick to start. Enjoy.
Thank you, Joanna. Well, thank you for being, all connected today. First of all, I hope that you're doing well and you and your family are not suffering from this COVID-19, and that your company also will go through the economic downturn safely. At Centreon, 100% of our employees are home working for the last 7 weeks. In Paris, in Luxembourg, in Toulouse, and in Toronto, and we all work as usual from home. Our support team is very busy. There is, more activity than usual, which seems to prove that IT monitoring is required in such situations, and our R&D team has been very, very busy to make sure they could deliver on time last Wednesday, our new version. Every 6 months we have a new version. This one is called 2004 for April 2020, and this is what we are about to talk about. Before we go through the news, let me just share a few marketing news. One is that we've changed the product naming. You may have noticed that on the website. This is here on your screen, a copy and paste of our previous naming. And we've just, we're just saying we have a single Centreon platform, and it comes in the open source version, the IT edition, and business edition. This is just a name change, same features as before, same pricing, same everything. A little marketing exercise then. What's new maybe is that this IT edition now is free of charge, up to 100 hosts. And it's not just a trial, it's really free of charge for an unlimited period of time. If you are less than 100 hosts, we want to make sure small companies can also have a good IT monitoring. And last news maybe on this marketing update is that we have a new website, www.centreon.com, much clearer, much more information, much more detail on the product. And the reason I'm mentioning it here is that, if you need to convince your boss to buy a new monitoring solution and a Centreon solution, I think it will be easier for you with this website. All right, so I guess it's time to talk about the real subject here, which is the new features in 2004. Etienne Gauthier, product manager, will talk about a new event view, a new mobile application, and some new service mapping capabilities from our BAM module. And then Laurent will continue with auto discovery, artificial intelligence, and a few more stuff. So let me share, have Etienne Gauthier share his screen so that he can continue the presentation.
Yep. Thank you, Pierrick. Hello, everyone. So let me have this feedback screen. Okay, so the first subject today of this new 20.4 version for the features is the new event view. So what is it? It's a more efficient event management user experience. So we really worked on modernizing Centreon's interface, and in that case, Centreon real-time user experience when it comes to the data and the alert management. So that's a first step. So why we work on that? Well, you and your users, they really need to be efficient when it comes to alert management. When then after you have the alert, you have to analyze the alert and then take action on these alerts. Well, the previous interfaces were okay, but not as efficient as the user expect. So what we did, first, of course, we made some user research. And then after all these feedbacks and UX and research gathered, we created a new page to manage the event view. So to manage the event, real-time event, and it implements some mechanism such as the regular expression. So you can now search on host or service criteria using the regexp mechanism. You also have multi-select on filters, so you can search in multi-select and filter the list. You have also access immediately to the actions that you are doing the more. So acknowledgement, downtime, and recheck or refresh a service or an host. And also to prevent the user to have to change or open a new tab or change the page, we just put the detail panel over the page, so you directly access detailed information over this new page. And why we did that in beta, why we release this in beta, is just because we release it in 20.4.0, but we really want to have a way to iterate quickly to stabilize, but also to add missing feature that we know that are already missing, and of course to take the feedbacks. So it's a beta version, so we'll be able to really iterate quickly with you and with also what we already know, and release in 20.4.1.2.3, etc. A lot of improvements and even new features in this concerning this event view. So I think the best to show you that would be to have a demonstration, short demo. So when you come to Centreon now, if you didn't define another default page, you now can go directly to the event view page. So you can find it in event view page in the home. So my interface is in French, but that could be okay. So then what you can see directly is that we have quick filters, predefined filters that are managed to filter and to list only unhandled problems. So here in that page, I only have unhandled problem. Then we have two other filters that I will look at just after. So let's focus on one of the first improvements. It's the quick action. So as you can see, when I put the mouse over, on the left here, I have a quick action, inline quick action. So I can acknowledge, set a downtime, or refresh the check. So let's say I want to acknowledge the service, and then I want to set a downtime. So as soon as I check at least one line, I also have access to quick buttons at the top of the page. So I can also set a downtime here. Okay, so the downtime and the acknowledgement have been sent to the engine. So now I can change the filter to resource problem. And so I see all the problems, but also the one I just acknowledged and set in downtime. So it doesn't change too much from the previous filter because we already have that kind of filter. And then I can, of course, select all. So as you can see here, this new view is also unified because it displays in the same place the services and the host. So you don't have to look at different pages to understand what's currently happening on resources. You just have to look at this page and then search and use the service or the host that you want to have a look at. So that's for the predefined filter. Then what can be really interesting is this new search bar. So let's say I just type something in the search bar. By default, it will search in host name, host alias, host address, and service description. So in my case, this is only a service, so it just finds the service description. And using the regular expression now, I can do things like that. So let's say I also want the external traffic. So I have both number of connected user and the external traffic for all the hosts that has that kind of services. So what I can do now is say, okay, I only want to speak about service description. That may be already the case, but I can also say I just want the host name to end with Berlin. So by doing this, I just filter using both regexp and also precise criteria that I can access. So if, of course, you don't have to guess the criteria and the parameters, they are in this help button. So there are some help also concerning the regex. So you have some examples in case you don't know or you forget how to use the regex. And then you can search in host name, host alias, host address, and service description. So that's the new search bar here, the power of the new search bar. Then let's stop filtering. What you can see here is a collapsible also filtering capabilities. So if this predefined filter or the search bar is not enough, you also have access to advanced filtering capabilities. So you can search to filter only on host or only on services. That's up to you. You can also search for the state. So the state is just, is it acknowledged in downtime or not acknowledged and not in downtime? You have the status. Of course, we have all the status from host and services because it combines both in this view. And then you also have a host group and service group. So you can make some search, and then you want to have only the hosts that are in the EA6 host group. You have the information. So now that we have filtered our page as we wanted, I can just click on the name on the line, and it opens this detail panel with all the information that you may need to understand if there is a problem. So in our case, there is no problem. Let's say I click on that. You have the status information and some other information. So also in this listing page, you have access to a graph. So maybe this one is not so interesting, but this one would be better. So you have access to a graph on mouse over. And if ever you want to have more detail, you can also click on it. It directly opens the graph panel of the service. And then you can still have a look to the detail or quickly change the period because you know that you want to look at the 7 last days, why not, or 31 days. And that makes it really efficient also sometimes to compare, because if you search for external, you can just have a look, you know, to the graph of different host and service just by clicking a line after another line, and then it just refresh this panel. You don't need to open multiple page to see all this information in one place. So of course you can order by all the columns. So it's ordered by status by default, but you can choose what column to order by. And we also have, of course, the row per page. So that's it for this demonstration of the new capabilities of this new page. I'm going to take my presentation back. And as I said, it's in beta version, so we already know we have a lot of things we want to implement. So you probably maybe already have the question in the chat. But yes, we want to make it possible to save the filter, because you can make advanced filter using the regex and combination with host group and service group. So of course, it's really handy to be able to save and reuse this filter in the same way that we are using the predefined filter. Then we also want to make improvement on the detail panel and the graph, because there are enough information to understand what's happening, but we really want to add more information so it's easier to understand. And the timeline information is one of the things we want to add. So you can imagine, you can guess that the timeline will be a list of things to know what happened on the resource. So you will be able to see when someone acknowledged or set a downtime, or when did the resource switch from OK to warning. So it's like an event log, but integrated directly into the listing, into the detail panel, sorry. So more information to understand and understand the context of what you are actually looking at. And also possibility to reorganize the column, so the order or the visibility, because while talking with customers and users, they all have a vision of what should be displayed or not in this listing page. So actually the best way we can handle it is to let the user choose what column you want to see and what column what order you want to define also. And of course, we will have a lot of feedbacks also on this event view. So from you, from mail, from GitHub, or also in the Slack channel that we have. So don't hesitate to make feedbacks. We will be happy to talk with you and understand what can be improved on this view. And then we are also thinking about later, because what I've just said before are for the 20.4.x versions, so the 1, the 2, the 3, etc. But then we also have things we want to do later than the 20.4. So we want to add some smart grouping capabilities, because this event view is really nice to use and efficient when it comes to filtering, but you still have the same kind of event than before. And so the goal of this smart grouping capability would be to reduce the number of events you see by grouping them using the relation, so the logical or physical dependencies between elements. So we just suggest in this interface less events, but more relevant. And of course, for those who knows the business activity, so the BAM extension, we want to add in this page the business activity, so that we can also activate the smart grouping and make relevant event display for you based on these aggregated indicators. We also have a lot of feedback concerning the custom view, so what's currently called the custom view. So it's the mechanism that to create dashboard in Centrion, and we want to improve also this dashboarding engine and the widget that comes with this engine. And to finish on this slide, we want to integrate ITSM tools, because today you can already connect Centrion to to a lot of external ITSM tool using an extension called OpenTicket, but it's only visible in some widgets. And the goal here is, of course, to integrate perfectly into Centrion the ITSM tool, so that you can OpenTicket and see information directly in this new event view and not only in a widget. So that's it for this new event view. I hope it will be appreciated, and you will be more efficient with that page, with that new capability.
Thank you, Etienne. Well, I love it myself. I think it's very sleek, very efficient, very nice, nice big improvement. Now the questions for you is, can we have the same on a mobile phone?
Yes, nice, perfect question, Pierre. So this 20.4 also come with a mobile application to see your event. So it's a free application. It's compatible with iOS and Android, and you will be able to download it directly. So why did we do that? Because we know that it's handy to be able to access Centrion information and resource status when you're not at your desk, so on your tablet or phones. And it's dedicated, this application for now is dedicated for operators or sysadmin that need to quickly access resource status. Because what we have in this mobile app is the capability to see the host and services status. You can also filter or, of course, list the service and host. You will be able to take action, so acknowledge or set planned downtime also through this application. See information of host or services and the graph corresponding for the services. So it's not that easy to make a demonstration in a webinar, so I just prepared a video. So when you connect to the mobile app, you just come to that page, which is the service list. So you have the unhandled problems and all as we have in the event view. So you can switch directly to retrieve some problems. So as you can see on the video, as soon as you check one box, you can click on the acknowledgement on downtime at the bottom of the application. So I just set this services in downtime and acknowledge. So as in Centrion, you have to send the message and then it will be processed by the engine, and the page will of course be refreshed. So I'm just refreshing the page because it's nice. So then you can use the advanced filtering capability. So you can search on host, services, status, host group or service group. And then when you apply the list, of course, refresh. I'm going to click on swap so that I can access the detailed information of swap. So I can see that it's in downtime and acknowledge. And then as soon as I click on the graph, I also have access to the graph of the service and to the same parameters for the period, so the last 7 days or 31 days for the graph. So as soon also as I rotate my phone to landscape, it rotates with it. Of course, it will not be in portrait, it will be in landscape, but the video recorder doesn't manage that. So you can see the graph in full screen. And then if you go back, you also have access to this host listing with some detailed information and the list of services. Oops, sorry. The list of services attached to the host. Here, of course, with the statuses. And if you click on the service, you will go to the detailed page of the service. So where can you find this application? Well, you can find it for Android device on the Google Store. And for iOS device, you can download it directly from mobile.centron.com. It's also a possibility for Android device, but if you can find it on Google Store, that's not mandatory. But for iOS device, you go to mobile.centron.com and you use the feature add to home screen. Sorry, I have a screenshot just after to show you where it is. And so the mechanism is that this application has been developed as a progressive web app, which is actually a code that can be stored on the website, so mobile.centron.com. And as soon as you download it, so by clicking on Add to Home Screen, the code just is stored on your phone, and then everything happens only on your phone, and that's it. And from your phone, between your phone and your Centreon platform. So the prerequisite for this application are ideally iOS 13 and Android 8. It's not mandatory. We didn't block it, but because we know that it works on previous version, but it's better if you have this version at least. Also, the mobile application is only compatible with Centreon 20.4 and more. Another prerequisite is to have a direct connection between your smartphone and the Centreon platform you want to connect to. So you may use a VPN, maybe, I don't know, but if you're in your office, you may have access directly to your Centreon platform. And for the security purpose, you also need a valid SSL certificate on your Centreon platform. So just for the people who don't really know what is this add to home screen, so sorry, the screenshot on the right is in French, but I think you can guess. So when you go to mobile.centron.com, you come to that kind of page, and if you click on the icon at the bottom, you will have add to home screen capability. So it's just download the code and put it to your phone, and then everything will happen on your phone. And if you want, you can also try to connect to our demo platform with the same account that you may use to connect to it, because it's also working, and our demo platform is in 20.4. So that's it for the mobile app. I hope you will enjoy
I think it's been many years since we've been asked when will you do a mobile app. We were happy that the user community had developed mobile applications, but in fact having our own gives us more flexibility to ensure consistent user experience between the desktop and the mobile app. This is the advantage of having our own mobile application, is that it's the same user experience, desktop or mobile. Good, that's it for event management. Let's now talk about another subject, which is service mapping.
Yeah, so service. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Pierrick. So service mapping is our extension to be able to model a complex IT workflow or application or IT services. And so in this 20.4 version, we did two things to improve our service mapping capability. So the first is that we updated the way we calculate these aggregated indicators. So why did we do that? Well, when you were modeling IT service or application using Centreon BAM, so our extension for service mapping, it was quite complex because we only had one method that was based on impact. So if you started on Centreon BAM, or even if you wanted to maintain Centreon business activity that you already created, it was quite difficult to do. So we wanted really to simplify this. So what we did is that we had 3 new calculation methods. So to model simple cases as best and worst status calculation. So as soon as you create an aggregated indicator, which is called a business activity in Centrion, you attach some indicator, and then you will be able to say, okay, this aggregated indicator would have the best status of all the indicators that are behind, or the worst status or attached, let's say. And then we also add a way to model cluster concept. So our calculation method is called ratio. And this new calculation method has been developed so that you can do you can implement concept like that. So I want at least 50% of my indicators to be okay, or I don't want to have more than 2 indicators in critical at the same time. So you will be able to do things like that with this new cluster calculation method. And where does it happen? So for those who are familiar with the business activity configuration page, it looks like that. So you create a new application or you modify an existing one. And then in the calculation method, so maybe it would be easier. In the calculation method here, you select, for instance, ratio, and then you have some parameters that appear. And so in my case, what you are seeing here in this configuration is that I define that I want at least, the BEA will be critical if at least 50% of my indicators linked are critical. So I can define, if I want to define the number as a percentage or a number. So in my case, it's 50%, but you can switch and say, I want at least 2 objects to be not critical. So that's the new way you can model things using Centrion BAM extension. So you will be able to have worst here, best, impact, of course, and ratio as before. And impact as before, sorry. So the second thing that we did is a thing concerning the planned downtime inheritance. So for those who know, we already have a mechanism where when a business activity is impacted by host or services that are in planned downtime, you have the icon and you know that this business activity is actually also in planned downtime. But the problem is that in that case, the business activity was still red. So it still showed to the external stakeholders that the business activity had a problem. And also it was understandable in our reporting. So when you compare the data to the SLA, you saw that you had some maintenance on the application. So that's okay in certain circumstances, but it's not always what you want to do. So what we did is we had the possibility to exclude indicators when the team has planned the downtime on it. So the business activity will not be impacted during this period. It's configurable at business activity level or even globally. Let's say you update to 20.4 and you want this, you prefer this behavior as the previous one, then you can just switch and it will be applied to all the business activity. So to be a bit more, to see better what does it mean, this was before 20.4. So you have, let's say, an application that has a business activity that has some indicators here, and one is red because these 2 here are red, but the IT team planned a downtime here, planned the maintenance, so it was automatically inherited up to the application. And what we add in 20.4 is the possibility to say, okay, I want to ignore the indicator in the calculation. That means that as soon as there is this flag, which is a planned maintenance, then it's totally ignored when you go to front end and application. So people here will see that everything is okay concerning the application because the IT team is just doing something that was anticipated. So that's what's new on Centrion BAM for the calculation method and then for the inherited downtime.
Well, thank you again. Thank you, Etienne, for all this information. And again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to use the tool on the right-hand side to ask questions. We will answer all questions at the end. And while you are giving the screen to Laurent for the next part of the presentation, let me say that on the new website, we are listing 21 key features of Centrion among the 120 features. And if I had to choose among these 21 key features, I think this service mapping feature is the one central feature that makes your platform doing not IT monitoring, but business monitoring, which means instead of monitoring devices, you are monitoring the overall workflows that your business are relying on. So service mapping is the critical feature, and I'm very glad that it's now much easier to implement and to use. It's up to you, Laurent.
Okay, thank you, Pierrick. Thank you, Etienne. Hi, everybody. So let's continue with improvements we used to perform for auto discovery and especially for auth discovery feature. So maybe you are using auth discovery feature in Centrion, but you have different cloud or virtualization environment and several resources can have the same name. How to monitor them into Centrion, several resources, we have the same name, but on different environment. So to do this, we add a new mappers functionality into auto discovery. And what is mappers? Mappers allow to make association between key value of discovery resources with value of Centrion configuration. For example, you can extract a value and say this value will be my host name into Centrion. And I want to extract the IP address of the FQDN of the resource from this value to put in IP address field for Centrion. So you have associate mappers. You can also associate discovery value with a custom macro. You can set based on the discovery value which template you want to link to your discovery resources. And you can select the poller will monitor the resource. We also add the possibility to run the discovery from any pollers of your Centrion platform. Previously, it was only from the central server, but now you can run this discovery from any pollers. And we also rework the design of the interface. So I made a little video to show you the evolution of auto discovery feature. So you can start a new job. Okay, what happened? So you have to select. Okay, it didn't work. I'll try to speak with a video. So you add a new job. You select as a provider. We have currently 22 providers. Then you select the collector which you want to start the discovery. You select your credential. You fill some additional field. Then you have the mapper part. So there's a lot of mappers predefined for each provider. You can edit them. You can change the predefined mappers. You can add more mappers, delete mappers. But you can see that you have association mapper, macro mappers, templates, and monitoring. So you can do what you want to perfectly complete the Centrion configuration. Each mapper have conditions, so you can say on this condition I want to apply these mappers. So currently we have 4 different mappers, and we will add more mappers in the future. For example, to link a discovery resource with a group directly. Then, when you finish to configure your mappers, you define the policy update and the plan execution of the job, and the job will be performed. And after, you will select the resource that you want to include in your Centrion configuration. So yes, this is a technology that we used to include into the discovery feature, and as I told you, we will include more mappers in the next weeks, in the next months. Okay, that's a point for this functionality. I will continue.
So auto discovery, is a feature that we've been working on for a long time now. Host auto discovery was introduced 1 year ago, I think, and we're still continuing on. One thing to remember is that all this complexity of discovery rules and mappers is coming automatically with the plugin packs. So when you download the plugin packs, the discovery rules are just automatically there. So it's very convenient for that. But now it's time to introduce, the plat de résistance of 2004, which is the artificial intelligence.
Yes, all right. So it's the first time that Centrion introduced artificial intelligence and machine learning into a monitoring solution. It's based on CLUD augmented architectures, and is currently for the 20.04 version in beta version. So I suppose you know that Centrion use a fixed threshold, and now we introduce the possibility to use dynamic thresholds. So how it works? The Centrion platform will send collected data into a storage. Based on this historic of data, we will compute models. Models will try to represent the regular behavior. Then, when the models are computed, we can generate prediction for the future for the next 24 hours. And this prediction will be used as dynamic thresholds by the monitoring engine to compare the collected value with the prediction and to generate maybe an alert and start the notification process. Here you can find an example. So you can see that I have a curve is a connection number on a firewall. There is a pattern during the night, a few connection during the working hour, several connection, and based on this, we can compute a model and generate a lower threshold and upper threshold. And if the collected value is upper than upper threshold, we generate an alert, and if the collected value is lower than the lower threshold, we generate also an alert. I will not explain you which kind of model we use because it's a little bit complex, but to work, we need that the Centrion platform needs to be connected to the Centrion cloud to send data, and the Centrion cloud will compute the models, generate prediction, and the Centrion platform will take back the prediction to compare the collected value with dynamic thresholds. So it's the first time we implement Centrion cloud augmented architectures with Centrion on-premise. So the goal is to compare collected value with a regular behavior. So it means the service needs to have a pattern, a regular behavior to generate a model. It's the first time that Centrion integrates artificial intelligence and machine learning. Currently, it will be available in closed beta because we need to improve the model computation with a few beta testers, and then we will extend in semi-public version, and the goal is to include this feature in Centrion 20.10, including all the feedbacks during the beta testing phase. So that's all for the artificial intelligence, but that's all.
Yes.
It's a big part, but not enough time to discuss everything.
A few slides for the product manager, but a big step for the Centrion mankind. I'm very excited that we have now dynamic thresholds. This is only a first step. We are working on other machine learning projects using this architecture. So I think we're here starting a new era for Centrion for the next few years. More topics. Last but not least, we have over 100 or 200,000 users around the world using Centrion, and they are good users. They are not complaining. For example, they are not complaining about the documentation, which is tricky to use. But at least we have good news for them today.
Yes, we need to have a question about the documentation. So yes, maybe you know that Centrion used to have a lot of documentation complete, but you need to know where I can find the information to have the information. So it was a little bit complex. So as Pierre said at the beginning, we have one central platform. We need to merge every documentation into only one single documentation to find all information. So it will be nice for you for the future to find the information that you want, and for new users to find all information you need to start with Centrion. So this is a remember of what was the documentation before, several documentation by product, by component. And if you don't access since last week to the documentation, this is the new documentation portal. So you access to direct link for getting started, some tutorials, or directly to the API. You have other links to prerequisite, how to install Centrion using ISO, OVA, or IPM, and how to start your monitoring. You have also a community link to discuss with us on Slack, on GitHub, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And of course, you have all the documentation. And this documentation is focused by functionality. So you have the first steps, getting started. Installation, of course, you can find prerequisite, architecture, how to download and how to install your Centrion platform. Then how to start your monitoring, so basic objects, passive monitoring, anomaly detection, discovery. Then when you monitoring starts, how to manage alert and notification. So the concept, the documentation about the new event view, and the previous legacy event console. Then how to use graph, how to make service mapping, how to create graphical views to represent your IT, then how to generate reports, and of course, administration, and how to upgrade to the last version. So you can find all the documentation you need into this new documentation.
Including, I think, the release notes for the 2004, right at the end of
Including the
bottom.
release notes. Yes, you have release, so you have a release note, functional release note of the 20.04, and you can click and have the complete release note per component. So for core, commercial extension, and for open source extension.
So there are
So
hundreds of improvements here.
Yes. I hope with this documentation you can find all information that you need, and you can also help us to improve the documentation by clicking on edit, and you access to GitHub, and you can send us improvements.
And a nice search button also.
And yes, a nice search button to find all information.
Yeah, in a very user-friendly manner. I think you've prepared a slide for the key technical improvements on the, so that we don't have to dig the release notes.
Yes, we also work on other components of the Centrion platform. So we make the architecture, we make more improvement about the monitoring and the storage performance. So now for strong Centrion platform, it will be nice. It will be better. It's better to store collected data into database. We use a multi-thread. We improve the platform redundancy since 20.04. Now you can find in the documentation and on how repository the Centrion high availability project. So it means how to build redundant Centrion platform and to migrate on a component failure. So now it's free and supported by the community. We also improve the scalability of the Centrion platform. Maybe you know a little bit of some Centrion components and SunCore. Now SunCore is out and replaced by another process more scalable. Because we develop new feature for our discovery and other parts, we used to improve the Centrion API v2 endpoints. So it's available in the documentation too. We simplify the Centrion map, the packaging. So now you have only one packet to install and manage a Centrion map. And the license is now present on the Centrion central server and not on the Centrion map server. So it's easier to upload a license to manage your license. And we used to add a new license mode, so online mode. What it means is if your platform is connected to internet and you by Centurion IT Edition or Business Edition, you will receive a token, set your token into Centurion Web Interface, and Centurion will download automatically all your license linked to your token. And if you renew in the future your license, Centurion will download automatically the new license. So all improvements that we used to perform on Centurion 20.04 are visible on the documentation of Centurion in the release note chapter.
Great. Well, that was a very information-packed webinar. So many information, but we will let people upgrade their platform to 20.04, read the documentation, go to the website. And for now, next slide is about the Q&A. It's time to answer questions if there are questions. So can you just advance one slide?
Sorry.
And we'll ask Joanna whether there are questions.
Yes, there is questions. So I will start with the first one. So someone is using successfully Centurion 19, but looks like the documentation got stuck to some previous version. There will be an update of documentation pages with the launch of Centurion 18.4.
Yes, as you can see, we used to merge all documentation into only one to improve access to documentation.
But this new documentation only applies to 20.04. We will not update the older documentation to a new tool.
But they are still available.
But so you can still access the old documentation on the old tool, and if you just update your platform to 20.04, you will benefit from all these new features, and the documentation is up to date. Obviously, most of the documentation is the same, so if you're looking for information in this new documentation, it will probably apply to your 19.10 platform.
Okay. So another question, I'd be happy to participate in beta testing for 18.4 to provide some feedback to the development of version 18.10.
20.04, 20.10.
Sorry. To do that, can I install Centurion 20.04 just as monitoring interface, keeping the poller on my current Centurion 19 installation?
Yes, to participate to this beta closed version, you need a complete Centurion 20.04 platform and with a historic of data, because we are interested to compute models on the historic of data. So there are several criteria, but the first one is to upgrade a pre-production platform or production platform to 20.04 version.
So here you're talking about the beta version of artificial intelligence. That question came before that, when we were just talking about the event view. You need to update to 20.04 to get the new event view, and that means updating the complete platform as usual, including the pollers.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, someone is asking if the custom views created in Centurion 19 will keep working also in Centurion 20.
Etienne?
Yeah, of course. Even if the version number changed a lot, making you think that there are big versions with breaking changes, actually the versions are always updatable. And if you go from 90.10 or .4 to 20.4 or .10, you keep your custom view, you keep everything you have. We just add, and of course, the day we want to migrate something, we will probably have a mechanism to migrate to new pages. But yes, we will never delete what you already done for hours on Centurion.
Yes, even coming from older versions, we know people updating from 2.8 to 20.04, and they keep their custom views, obviously, and their configuration and so on and so forth. Yes. Next question.
Yeah. Does the mobile app support push notifications?
Not yet, but we will have a look, of course, to this notification mechanism, because it's asked, and we know that it can be really important to have notification on mobile So we'll have a look to that.
Okay, someone else is asking if there is also a logic within the ITSM connection, like tickets already created.
So that's about the OpenTicket extension, how it's integrated. Maybe someone can explain this OpenTicket and where to find information in the documentation.
Okay, you can find all the documentation in the Centrion documentation. And in fact, this module allows you to ask to the API of the ITSM to create a ticket. The API give back us a ticket number, and we store this ticket number into Centrion. Then if you configure correctly, you have the custom view Centrion widget with a ticket to open, and another widget with opened tickets. And you can click on the ticket number to access directly to your ITSM tools.
And what's new in this documentation is that we now have integrated the OpenTicket connector documentation into the main documentation, so it's much easier to find the information that you've just explained.
Yes, exactly. Everything is present on the documentation. Maybe.
All right.
Okay.
Next one.
Yeah.
The forum was useful for retrieve knowledge, and now finding information is more difficult on the Slack channel. The forum is going to be completely dismissed, or it will coexist as information repository with the Slack channel that is more useful to get feedback when the solution is not found on the forum.
Yeah, that's a good point. Slack, we all agree that Slack is really useful for some use cases, but not all. And we are trying to find a solution to have that kind of forum-like things, probably also next to the next new documentation. So we are working on that. We are thinking about this forum-like feature that we also should have for some kind of content and knowledge that cannot be retrieved in documentation or in Slack. So we'll have a look, and if you have some suggestion or if you want to share things, don't hesitate to come to Slack this time to share.
Yes, if you're using another product where you find that this combination of real-time Slack and repository is well done, just tell us which one it is so that we can maybe get some ideas on which tool they are using and how to best complement the two information sources.
Yeah.
And you can do that on Slack.
We can discuss. Next.
Next question. What will happen if all three front ends are critical? Is it more critical?
So that was during the demo,
yeah.
the SLA stuff. Yes, for BAM.
I don't know if Laurent, you can just put the slide where we have just a use case for BAM. Yeah, no. It will be easier because explaining that just without the image is quite difficult. So it really depends on how you configured your front-end server business activity, because as you can see, we have an application that is a business activity, and the indicator of the application are also business activities. So front-end server is a business activity. So in this case, let's say the front-end server are configured in the way that if front-end one become critical, yes, the front-end server will be pretty critical because front-end one doesn't have a planned maintenance. So yes, of course, it can work like that. And by default, it will probably work like that on a lot of configuration that you will make.
All right.
Okay. Next one. There will be an easy way to import or export host and services settings from Centrion 19.x to Centrion 20.4.
Maybe the best way is to migrate, but if you can't, yes, we have an extension, Centrion Web Import-Export, documented in the documentation, and it's an interface to export a configuration from Centrion and to import it on another Centrion.
But just to make things very clear, by default, any platform in 19.x can be updated to 20.04 smoothly, seamlessly, without losing.
And all configuration will be kept.
yes, everything will still run and construction will be kept. So a normal way of doing is just to update the platform as explained in the documentation. Importing, exporting is only if you have two different platforms, and for some reason, two different hardware platform maybe, and for some reason you need to move to physically migrate from one physical platform to another, then there is this little extension to export and re-import. I hope it's clear.
Okay, next one. Is MySQL v8 supported on this new version?
In this new version, we support MariaDB 10.3.x. We must be compatible with MySQL v8, but we are not sure at 100%. It should work, but if you have some errors, do not hesitate to contact us to fix this.
So when we package, when you download from Centreon, it comes fully packaged as a software appliance with CentOS and MariaDB. But if you, for some reason, on your open source environment, you want MySQL instead of MariaDB, then should work, but we haven't necessarily tested all different configuration. Okay.
Okay, another questions. How many machines could I have with one licensing for 100 hosts?
So I guess here we're talking about the new IT edition for 100, which is a free version, which can, so it's installed, it's a virtual software appliance that you install on a virtual machine or some server, and that lets you monitor up to 100 different equipment. 100 devices can be monitored for free with this version. If you need to monitor, in the future, more than 100, then you have to buy a license. Licenses start at 250 and so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you, Pierrick. Another questions.
Maybe the question was different. Was like, can I have several 100 IT 100 platforms? Can I have 2 or 3 of them? And in fact, you can. When you want to use that, you get a token, and we allow you to get free tokens, no more than 3. And there are some frequently asked questions somewhere on the website to answer all these questions related to IT 100 free license. I think there is 47 frequently asked questions listed there with their answers.
Okay, thank you, Pierrick. Another question. So with the new version for distributed redundancy, if I move one host from one poller to another, will the downtimes, acknowledgements, and so on be maintained, or are they still cancelled?
Okay. In fact, it's a redundant platform for each redundancy for each server. So it means you have a central server with a master slave using a pacemaker and CoroSync. We don't have a load balancing of monitoring for hosts. So you can have a poller and have a redundant poller, and if the master poller have an issue, migrate and start as a slave. And as we use CoroSync, pacemaker, and too many tools, we synchronize the monitoring files. So you keep a downtime, you keep acknowledgements and everything, but we don't have a load balancing for the monitoring. We have only a master slave replication for each poller.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is explained on the documentation.
Okay, next one. What about the event correlation mechanism? It would be great to get rid of an additional event management system.
I guess it's about the evolution. I told about the smart grouping and stuff to only use Centreon instead of having a lot of other event management system. Am I understanding it well?
I don't know. There is maybe 2 topics here. One is, in our, first of all, the new event view which is much better user experience, more efficiency. In the long term, will replace the current event consoles, whatever are the names. So there is one for host, one for service. So we will keep the two in parallel for a while, so people can smoothly move from one to the other. But in the end, we will just get this new unified event view. This event view will evolve so that we will do smart grouping, so that when some events pertain to the same incident, they will be seen as one line. And another topic is that with our machine learning algorithm, today we only implemented anomaly detection, dynamic thresholds, but in the future we will use this possibilities, capabilities, platform to work on automatic event correlation based on machine learning and artificial intelligence. But that's more futuristic. In a year from now, we might have some newer machine learning, artificial intelligence capabilities, including event correlation. And all this, everything which is done today by anomaly detection goes into the same event view, the same unique, simple event view in the platform.
Okay, thank you. Next question, were there any performance improvements in this version, especially when setting downtimes of hundreds of servers in the current version is somewhat slow?
I think it's for Laurent, maybe, with some architecture.
No, we didn't make improvements. Normally, you don't have to perform 100 downtime or acknowledgements at the same time, but no, the process is still the same. You add the downtime through the web interface. It's forwarded to the monitoring engine, and then it's displayed on the interface. But it's time of some seconds.
Okay, so maybe there is something to investigate here. Maybe maybe ask support. In theory, it shouldn't be that slow. That's what I understand from Laurent.
Yes.
Okay, next question. Would you recommend 20.4 for critical production environment, even if it's a beta version, or it will be better to install it on a separate development or testing installation, making it coexisting with previous 19.x monitoring until version 20.10 will come up?
So we were not clear in our communication. 20.04 is generally available. This is a GA version. It's not a beta version. What is beta is the event view is still beta because we are improving it regularly in 20.04.x in minor version. We will add new features. So this is why we say it's beta, but it would work perfectly well in a production environment. And the anomaly detection artificial intelligence part is also beta, but the overall 20.04 is a GA version, general availability, is actually it's already in production in some of our customers' environment. And yes, you should definitely upgrade your production environment to 20.04. You may wait a couple of weeks just to make sure there is no, little bug fix happening, but don't wait for 2010.
Okay, so last question, when can we expect, sorry, I don't know how to spell it, RHEL8 support?
Red Hat, that's the Red Hat version 8.
Yes, we used to want to release the 20.04 with CentOS 8 or Red Hat 8 compatibility. Unfortunately, we don't success, but our plan is to, in the few weeks, to release the central open source edition supported version 8, then the IT edition, and then the business edition in the next 2 months.
So it's coming soon, coming soon.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, it's the end of this webinar, so I think that you have answered all of the questions, and thank you for joining. I hope that you really enjoy this webinar. Have a nice morning, day, evening, wherever you are, and see you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.